the Jake Giffen Podcast.
Laura Silverman, you are the very first woman on the Jake Giffen Podcast. How's that feel?
No way! I'm making historical records.
Today's the day.
Wow, I feel so honored. I better step up my game, man.
Welcome. Well, you have an interesting background. Tell people about yourself.
Sure. I grew up in an Armenian evangelical family, strong, church community, and I loved acting and singing growing up. I'm kind of a ham, and I loved public speaking. I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I went to law school and I just loved it. I loved the work. I didn't like the stress, but I enjoyed, practicing as a lawyer for 5 years. And then some things kind of went downhill from there. This was 2018, and, we can talk about it. And I've been in a sort of deep valley of suffering, which sounds dramatic, but, once you hear the story, you'll kind of see what's been happening around here.
Yeah. Yeah. What happened? So did you graduate from law school?
Yeah. Yeah, I graduated in 2012. And then at the start of my dream job as a federal prosecutor, I fell severely ill with this rare neurological disease. And it's been 8 years. And in fact, I'm still struggling. In fact, at this point, I'm still bedridden about 65% of the day. So you see that bed back there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So after this podcast, I'm just going to crash. Basically, it's a rare disease. We still don't have a real diagnosis. The doctors have thrown a million diagnoses at me. I've tried maybe 150 therapies. Nothing worked. And in fact, many of the treatments made me significantly worse. But yeah, it's been 8 years of it has to do with the connection between my ear and my brain. In other words, my ear is giving my brain faulty signals in terms of where I am in space. So right now you can't tell, but the world is turning around me in my vision. Yeah, and it's very debilitating. And as you can imagine, that's why, I get faint, I get nauseous, I can't sit up for long. And so, at this point, I'm trying to sit up more. There was a point when I was strictly bedridden on that bed for 3 years. I'm talking on a bedpan with my mom nursing me. And this was right at the height of my game. I had just started my dream job. And you can imagine all the questions I was asking the Lord of, why would you take me to Stanford Law School, give me this dream job, and then boom, I'm on a bed and feeling like I have no worth, and why is this happening, and are you good, Lord, and all the Job type questions.
Yeah. When did that happen? You obviously started your career. Stanford's no small quest. That's that was a big jump. Stanford's, you're clearly brilliant. So then you start your law career, and then how old were you when this happened?
So I practiced law for 5 years, and then I hit 30, and then things went downhill. So I got diagnosed when I was 30.
Damn,
2 weeks
30s.
into the job. Yeah,
Yeah, that's your problem. You should have stayed in your 20s.
Yeah, exactly, right? Don't we all wish that? I swear, when I turned 30, I got my first gray hair. I don't know if that's, that works that way with men, but
No, well, you're a federal prosecutor, right? Is that right?
yeah, we have stress, so it kind of adds to
30. It took you that long to get a gray hair being a federal prosecutor. You're probably,
Yeah.
Have you well, we're gonna get into your story, but I follow this guy named Gary Brecka. He does these methylation tests and different things like that. He helps a lot of people with weird, random.
I haven't heard that. What was the name again?
Gary Brecka.
Gary Breck. My mom probably knows. That woman has been researching. Her eyeballs are bleeding from the research the last 8 years.
Yeah, he does. He does this. He's got an what is it called? Ultimate Human situation where he does methylation. He does these genetic methylation tests to find out where, whether it's mineral deficiencies or whatever you're deficient in. He finds out where your system's short circuiting a bit.
Yeah.
And then supplements for where it's short circuiting. That seems to help a lot of people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, it started when you were 30. So it's not obviously something you were born with. They can't figure it out. So I don't know. I always think of Gary when I hear stuff like this, because I go, oh, if I could give a little blood or pee in a cup or something, and he can tell me that, I should stop eating, Snickers or something, then
I wouldn't be able to stop eating Snickers. That would be like, non-negotiable, I think.
well, you're screwed then. I mean, no, I don't know if you are or not. I mean, it's you might have to. I don't know what it is, but so you were in bed 3 years.
Yeah. I couldn't move, man. I couldn't even lift my head up. So my mom, who was an RN, she practiced nursing when she was
Oh,
in her
thank
20s.
God. Really?
Yeah, but she had practiced nursing for 5 years in her 20s, then took 30 years off to have kids.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
So
30
she's
years later, she's nursing me on a bedpan
yeah,
on that bed. I mean, you can imagine what we went through. I mean, my dad's also, was very invested, obviously, in my health. So he was researching pharmaceuticals, drugs. We were bringing in drugs from Canada, I mean, you name it. We
yeah,
consulted British experts, and just all of the pharmaceuticals made me worse. And we were just, I mean, there came a point basically where we got off all the drugs. I said I refused to experiment on my body anymore. And I started to try sitting up again, and still nothing had healed. And so, still, the world is turning. But my blood pressure wasn't dropping like it was during the 3 years. So, at least that improved in terms of, okay, at least I can sit up without my heart, going all haywire. So, again, we still don't have a diagnosis. And this is what's so frustrating about modern medicine, and not to blame the doctors, because it's like there's some things they just haven't researched, or
yeah,
vertigo is very under researched. So, and you can imagine, being called a loony and whatever. I mean, a lot of the doctors, they think it's all psychological, but I
sure.
mean, my parents and I have read so much research on vertigo, and even though it's underdeveloped, like, there are some principles. We know it stems from the ear. I mean, anyway, I don't want to give you a lecture, but
You can. I mean, it stems
yeah.
from the ear. It's a communication between probably the ear and the
Yeah.
and the brain.
Yeah, I didn't even know about what the vestibular system is. Like,
Mm,
apparently it's like, it's an otolith organ or whatever that basically sends your brain signals about where you are in space. And when that goes
mm,
off, I don't know if you've ever had vertigo, but
mm.
old people have what's called BPPV, where ear crystals pop out and then the world spins. And I've had that also. I mean,
Huh,
it's vertigo is very debilitating, and
yeah.
and kind of, it has a stigma, because I mean, maybe not, but I feel like people don't, because they don't understand it and you can't see it, it's invisible. People kind of put a stigma to, oh, it must be psychological, and it's really not. Because I also
Yeah.
have physical pain.
Yeah, psychological. I always like the psychological when they don't when they can't answer something, and you're right. The modern medicine, the Western medicine means well. I mean, they know
Yeah,
they know what they know based on, their training, but their training is somewhat antiquated, and
yeah,
it doesn't really take into account human chemistry and the uniqueness of genetics and different things like that. I think some of the things that like Gary Brecka is doing and is kind of fascinating to me. Some of those more alternative. No, see, we call it alternative medicine, but it should just be primary medicine. It's just the basic stuff that just makes sure
yeah.
that your body has what it needs. But when you have something they can't define, and they say, oh, it's psychological. You go, oh, well, if it's psychological, bro, let me take your nice Mercedes out for a drive, and you know maybe we can
Yeah,
figure it out on the way to In and Out or something.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Mm,
I mean, and honestly, we did the therapy, we did the CBT, whatever. I mean, they throw the kitchen sink at you because they don't know what this is. And so it's like, oh, let's just try to calm the anxiety or calm the this. And I'm not putting a stigma on those other diseases, because I mean, every illness is legitimate and should be treated with respect and dignity and whatever. I'm just saying it's hard when they don't know where to box you. And
yeah.
so you're kind of floating, in the system.
How rare is this?
It's vestibular migraines are not that rare. Like, about a third of migraineurs have what's called vestibular migraines, which means instead of the boom boom pounding in your head, you have like dizziness. But the
Mm,
reason that mine is significantly more rare is, I mean, we talked to the British experts, we talked to the East Coast experts. I mean, they said they've never seen a case as severe as mine in terms of having that nonstop chronic spinning. Like, it
mm,
just never stops, even when I'm laying down. And we
Ugh.
did a CAT scan. Yeah, it's awful. I mean, when we did a CAT scan and they did find two holes in both of my well, one hole in each ear.
Mhm.
And they suggested that it could be that, and apparently I was born with it, but like when you age, it grows. I don't know. I still don't understand. I mean, Stanford couldn't give us a proper, diagnosis. We said, could surgery help? They said probably not. I mean, you can tell we're still, if I had found something that I thought would help, we wouldn't be here. But I don't know why the Lord just hasn't opened the door.
Mm.
And there came a point where I really felt like he was calling me to acceptance, which frankly really
Mm.
was awful. I mean, if you can
Yeah.
imagine hearing that from God after you've been praying for 6 years, like, Lord, heal me, like, please.
Mm.
And I mean, we can talk about that more if you're interested,
Yeah, go
but
for it.
just
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about this acceptance message. I mean, that's got to be a kick in the nuts. I mean, if you had nuts, but you don't.
no,
Mm.
I mean, yeah, basically you can imagine. I mean, but then if you look at the New Testament, we always think, oh, God heals everyone on this side. He wants to heal, he loves to heal. But it's like, if you look at the New Testament, he said no to Paul,
Yeah,
like the most
yeah.
Christ-like person, the thorn in the flesh. We still don't know what that was, but it's like, I don't understand why a lot of people in the church, at least when I told people this initially, and I'm not trying to be mean to anyone, but people gave me resistance. Like, what do you mean the Lord told you he doesn't want to heal you? What do you mean? Like, you're just giving up and this and that. And it's not that I give up. It's not that I don't believe in miracles or I don't, keep my hands open. It's just I really feel like the Lord has said, I have you in this valley and you need to just surrender. Like, I mean, he called Abraham to surrender. He asked Abraham to kill his son, man. I mean, we don't even talk about this. Like, would you kill? I mean, I don't know if you have kids, but it's like, I asked my dad that the other day. I was like, would you kill me if God asked you to kill me? And he's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, I'm digressing, but it's like this has been the hardest struggle of my life to
Mm.
really love God and try to still worship him, even though he answered no. And I haven't practiced law in 8 years. And you can imagine, like, I miss it so much. I'm like you, type A, whatever, trying to, I mean, I love work. And yet here I am. Instead, God took me on a path to writing this memoir about my suffering. And I don't know, he's turning lemons into lemonade. Like, what can I say?
It, there's two passages that come to mind. There's I think it's in second or third John. It says, well, you count it all joy when you encounter various trials, right? And then you allow it to have its, um, I wish I knew where it was. Allowing it to count it all joy, and you allow it to have its full effect. Like, don't interrupt it. Like, something about steadfastness. It's like, sit steadfastly in it, like patiently wait in the suffering and allow it to have its full effect, kind of thing. I'm going to butcher that. I'm probably going to edit this out and record it separately as if we talked about it and make myself look smarter. But I'm not going to do that. I don't edit. Who edits? Anyway, so but it is like that. You just allow it to have its full effect. And then the one I was just reading the other day was Second Peter. It talks about humble yourself under the mighty hand of the Lord, and in due time he'll exalt you. And
Oh, that's
and I love what you're doing though. It's you're hearing from the Lord, and he's going, look, this is the law I've given you for however long I decide to give it to you.
yeah,
Accept it.
yeah.
And that's your willingness to accept it is fantastic. I think we should talk more about suffering and the value of it.
Well, so thank you for saying that. I will say though, you almost have to read my memoir because I wanted to be honest because a lot of my journey, I mean, you're seeing me at the end of the 8 years, but I'm telling you, man, like the first 6 years was like a struggle with bitterness in terms of
Mm.
like, oh my gosh, I can't do one more day on this bed. What is happening? I mean, I was trying to have joy, but I wanted to be authentic to show other believers, like, look, you're not the only one out there. And I wanted to show how God met me, even with me fighting him, like in just
Mm.
authentic prayers, like on that bed, and just like pouring out, like, why are you doing this, Lord? Like, I can't take
Mm.
this anymore. Can you please? And yet, even despite the bitterness and the anger and all the stuff emotionally that I went through, he was just there. Like, he never judged me. Like, he would give me these timely devotionals. Like, I can't even explain to you, like I started calling them Holy Spirit text alerts because it was just like at a timely moment. Like one day I was telling my mom, like, man, his grace is not sufficient. Like I'm
Mm.
not feeling it, man. Like I don't. And then later that night, my daily streams in the Desert Devotional app, which my mom read to me because I couldn't open my eyes on that bed, was that very verse. Is it 2 Corinthians 12:9? It was, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.
Mm.
And like the devotional blurb, that they wrote, the
Yeah.
editors were like, do you feel like the Lord isn't supplying enough? Like you have to trust him moment to moment. He is sustaining you, even if you don't feel like it. And it was like, touche, Lord. Like it was almost like he was showing me that he understands the emotions, like
Mm.
that he is following closely, like almost like in the boat with you in the storm. Like
Mm.
I swear I could not have gotten through this if I was an atheist, or, I mean, I don't think anyone, I mean, I personally wouldn't be able to get through severe suffering without having hope in the Lord, or like something beyond this trivial life where there's so much pain, in so many ways, whether it's an illness or grief or whatever people go through.
Yeah.
So anyway,